Year 10 of Rainbow Six Siege is just around the corner. So if you want to make this year the year that you get good, you need to know the 12 best operators to play in Year 10 of Siege. Now, the first operator that you need to be playing in Year 10 is going to be Ace. I think this is a pretty obvious one to anybody who's been playing the game for a while, but Ace is arguably the best solo queue hard breacher in the game. You have the best weapon out of all of the hard breachers in the game, having the AK-12 assault rifle, which is a very good gun, and if you want soft destruction, you can bring it in breach charges. Or maybe if you don't want to get ran out on / flanked, you have claymores as well with the P9 handgun to round out your loadout. His Selma charges are also great because they can be used from a distance, which means that essentially any wall that you want to get open, you don't have to put yourself at risk by physically standing on that wall like a thermite or a maverick does. So he's the safest to play. He actually has the quickest explosion time of any hard breacher in the game. At least his first explosion out of 2 explosions per ace canister does, meaning that you can pretty much effectively counter bandit tricking if you just throw your aces fast enough. And if you combine multiple ace breaches, you can get hatches open efficiently, and you can make a good-sized hole without having to bring Thermite or Hibana, which can only do one of those things. So he's the most diverse, you have the most fragging potential with him, and he has the best loadout and can be used on every single site, whereas other hard breachers are purely situational. That is why I think out of all the hard breachers I could have put in this video, that Ace is the best operator for you to play in Year 10 of Siege if you want to get walls open. But let's move on to our first defender of the video that you need to be playing for Year 10 of Siege, and that is Azami. I think Azami is arguably one of, if not the best defender in the entire game, purely because of how high her skill ceiling is. You have so many different strategies that you can make up or use to be able to completely hold a power position that you need to stay alive in, essentially wasting the most amount of time while also being able to get a lot of kills with little pixel angles that you can learn with her. The better player you are and the more time you spend learning her in custom games, the better operator you're going to actually have in your hands to be able to play. The strategies that you can use with Azami if she is unbanned is absolutely insane, and the better you are, again, the better she is going to be, with her skill ceiling arguably being almost completely unlimited. Her loadout is also pretty good. She does bring the 9x19 SMG. The ACS-12 did just get nerfed to the ground. I wouldn't really recommend using it, to be honest, but the 9x9 one is a very good SMG. She also has the Deagle if you want to make head holes, feet holes, hip holes, so you can also help set up sight, and you have impacts if you want to help set up sight or counter shields, or you have barbed wire if you need information because you're, let's say, holding a power position and you don't want to get flanked or ran in on. So not only does she have a good loadout, but it's very cohesive with her own playstyle, which makes it that much more powerful, on top of her very powerful ability that she already has, which is why I think she is one of, if not the best defender to play in Year 10 of Siege. For now, though, let's move back to the attacking side, because the next operator in this video you need to play is Striker. Striker, especially for solo queue, is an absolute powerhouse. You have the ability to get open walls by yourself, which no other operator except for Maverick can do. The only thing about Striker compared to Maverick is that Striker is quicker and relies less on their team doing something to be able to make stuff happen. One thing they both have in common, though, is that Striker does bring the M4 assault rifle, which is the second best assault rifle in the entire game. You also have the option of bringing the ITA mini shotgun, which allows you to open up hatches, make yourself rotate, even make vert in a pinch if you really need it, which just adds to her versatility as an operator. Not only can you bring EMPs and hard breaching charges, but if you want to get a shield or some Azamis, you can bring flashes for burn and frag grenades to actually get the bulletproof utility. You can also bring flashes and smokes to be able to burn utility and then smoke off any entry points to go for a plant. You can bring EMPs to help with a wall if you already have a hard breacher, and then bring flashes to help you swing people for kills. You get the idea. There's a lot of different secondary utility loadouts that only Striker can bring that make her not only unique, but extremely useful. That paired up with her very powerful weapons and the ability to make soft destruction makes her the perfect solo queue operator in my opinion. Someone else who I think is arguably just as perfect of a solo queue operator is the next operator on this list, which is Cade. Now, I will say of all of the operators in this video, I do think Cade is the most situational. But I also know that if I'm going to make a video talking about the best operators to play in Year 10 of Siege, I need to at least put one wall denial operator in the video, and I think the best one in the game is Cade. First of all, let's talk about Cade's loadout. You have the AUG A3 SMG, which if you hit heads is fine, but it has a little bit low rate of fire, which is why I like his next gun, the TCSG-12 shotgun. Now, the damage over distances on this gun did get nerfed, but the damage close range did get buffed, and it still gives you all of the soft destruction you need to set up sight or to create angles. So I find myself still using this and still being able to kill people almost the exact same unless I'm trying to shoot them across the map. You're also able to bring a nitro cell if you need that to be able to get kills or to throw it over walls that you might be tricking. But none of that is really the reason that I think you should be playing Cade in year 10. Obviously, the reason you should be playing Cade is for his Electro Claws. The Electro Claws allow you to do one thing that no other operator in the game can, which is electrify hatches. If you don't have some electrified hatches on some sites, you're just guaranteed to lose that site. Like, let's say the basement of Clubhouse, for example. So if you have something that's so necessary that only one operator can do, obviously that operator is going to be one of the best operators to play in year 10 of Siege. But it goes even further than that, because not only can you electrify hatches, but if you're good enough as Cade, you can Cade trick the hatch, essentially taking the claw off when an EMP is about to go on, and then putting it back on when the Habanas are placed on the hatch, or the thermite, whatever it may be. You get the idea. You're able to Cade trick hatches. You can Cade trick walls as well pretty easily. If you know how to bandit trick, it's pretty much the same thing. You just have to time it a little bit better. And worst comes to worst, you can just throw Cade claws down and still be very useful to your team, which is why I think Cade undoubtedly is one of the best operators you need to play for year 10. Another operator that I think is completely undoubtable as to how good they are in the game would be Ying. Now, console players know that Ying is an absolute menace to the ranked pool, but for those of you that don't see the vision, let me explain. First of all, she has the T95 LMG. This comes with 81 bullets and 46 damage per bullet. You also have an amazing pistol, which is the Q929 pistol, and you have smokes if you want to use your Yings to go for an execute or a plant, or you have hard breaching charges if you want to be able to get the hatch open for you to send your Yings down and go for a plant. You're also able to use your Candelas if you want to be able to get free kills or to take space, which is what makes Ying so good. If you ever have a team that you know is probably just going to run in and rush, maybe with a Blitz or an Ash, and you kind of think they're throwing, the least you can do is at least play with them and bring a Ying to support the rush or to distract the enemy somewhere else to help out. Either way, if you want to play the more fast-paced sort of playstyle that's dominating the ranked meta right now, having Ying is almost paramount to having success in your ranked pool. If you want to be able to slow down the rush though, then you need to play the next necessary operator for year 10, which is Legion. Legion is great at slowing down attacker rushes because if you step in a goo mine, obviously you get slowed down. But more importantly, that goo mine makes a lot of noise. So you have a lot of information as to where people are pushing because they're either shooting your goo mines or stepping in them. Even after the nerf, Legion brings a lot of goo mines on a very short cooldown. So this operator brings some of the most information out of any defending operator ever, and you have the ability to slow down a rush and counter shields, which are still a little bit meta right now, especially Blackbeard, who we'll talk about later. Legion also brings the T5 SMG, which is one of the easiest to use SMGs in the game. And he brings the Super Shorty shotgun, which makes it to where he can set up sight and go for a roam if he needs to. Legion overall is one of the easiest yet most effective defenders in the game, which is why I had to put him on this list. Speaking of information operators though, let's talk about the next necessary attacker that you need to play for year 10 of Siege, and that is Dokkaebi. Dokkaebi is great not only for the amount of information that she brings, but purely for the versatility that she brings in her loadout. She has the Mark 14 EBR, which is a great DMR, one of the easiest to use in the game, as well as having the SMG-12 SMG, which on console is super easy to control, and on PC is just as lethal if you can control it. Really though, her versatility lies in her secondary gadgets. You can bring EMPs for the wall, flash grenades to help roam clear with your ability for kills, and you have smoke grenades to be able to go for an execute if you want to put that in tandem with your calling ability. And that's just the thing. Her actual ability is even more versatile. She has the ability to roam clear with her calls, the ability to hack cameras and get information, and the ability to deny information because she's able to see where all the cameras are and therefore shoot them, or she can call, which kicks everybody, even dead people, off of cameras on the defense side, making it to where you can do whatever you want without them having any information on you. Definitely the most versatile attacker in the game, which is why I guarantee you, even you watching this video weren't surprised that I put her on this list. Somebody else I guarantee you're not surprised to see on this video's list is Melusi. Melusi kind of does the exact same thing that Legion does, where it's just an information-based operator with a good gun that you can kind of anchor with. Melusi specializes more in information and less than trapping than somebody like Legion does though. This is because it slows them down, makes a more audible noise, and it makes that audible noise for longer, and because the enemies are slowed by your Banshee, you're actually able to swing them a lot easier. She also brings the MP5, which most people know how to control nowadays, and she has the ITA mini shotgun to help set up sight, and she has impact grenades to either make rotates or to help you finish kills, or to do damage to shields, whatever it may be, but she's pretty much just the same operator as Legion, a versatile information trap-based operator that can counter shields, that can anchor, and that can passively provide utility to your team. So if I put Legion on this list, I had to put Melusi on it too. Somebody on this list you might not have expected to be here though is Blackbeard. Now, the reason I think some people might not have been expecting to see Blackbeard on this list is, one, he's banned almost every single game, but the reason he's banned almost every single game is because he is a great operator. Nobody really knows how to counter him yet unless you're a pretty good player, and that means if you're playing Blackbeard and you're playing more passive than the average player, you're bound to get a lot of people killed. All you have to do as Blackbeard is throw a grenade at soft utility or where you think people are, and then the second they run away from that grenade, all you do is ADS them. So either they die to you or they die to the grenade, and it's usually a free kill every time. If you also play off of your teammates and they're swinging behind you and you ADS at the same time, that person's only going to get one kill, meaning either you're going to kill them and your teammate's gonna die, or your teammate's gonna kill them and you're gonna die, but either way you're going to get a guaranteed refrag. Now you can say, well, Blackbeard's too teammate reliant, but if you're playing Blackbeard, obviously you have the team that you can rely on to play Blackbeard, otherwise you wouldn't be playing him because you, the viewer, knows that he's team reliant. So you can't really use it as an argument for me to not put him on this list if that's something that you already know. Yes, Blackbeard is team reliant, but so is every other shield. And I know that I make content primarily for solo queue people, but truthfully, it's not hard to just press that push to talk button if you're on PC, or to only play Blackbeard if you're duo queuing with a friend. He's not the easiest to get value out of, but if you know how to do it, he is probably the best attacker in the game right now. Somebody who is good, but even easier than Blackbeard is the next operator, which is Mute. Mute is good primarily because of his versatility. You have the ability to keep walls closed, to deny Dokkaebi calls, deny Grimbees, deny Lion scans, and you can stop any drones from coming in, whether it be default drones, Twitch drones, Flores drones, or Brava drones. You can also stop blitzes and yings from being able to use their own ability if they're within a Mute jammer's radius, and his loadout makes him even more of a diverse operator. You have a shotgun for sight setup, an SMG-11 for mid-range gunfights, and a nitro cell to be able to get even more free kills. Definitely one of the better defenders in the game because of how easy he is to play, how straightforward he is, and purely because of just how much value Mute can bring. Now let's go over an attacker that Mute can counter but is still very, very good that you should be playing in year 10, and that is Deimos. Deimos is probably the best roam clearer in the entire game. You do have operators like Dokkaebi that do bring more to the table, but her roam clearing ability is nowhere even near Deimos' roam clearing ability. You have the ability to get literal wall hacks onto somebody with a great pistol, a great AR, and frag grenades, or a shotgun if you want to use that too. And if you're calling out to your team, and if you have cohesion with that team, Deimos' power only grows because you're essentially giving all of your teammates wall hacks onto one person at a time, making him probably the best roam clearer in the entire game. And having somebody that can clear a roam, especially in ranked when your teammates don't have much coordination to drone out the roamers, is very necessary, which is why he's one of the best operators you can play in year 10 of Siege for rank. But with that out of the way, it's time to go over the final operator for this video that you need to play for year 10, and that is Valkyrie. I think Valkyrie's highly underrated because unfortunately these past few years you've had operators like Azami, Fenrir, and Solis just kind of outshine her, but before any of those operators came out, Valkyrie was the queen of defense. You have 3 cameras that are very hard to see if you're good at actually playing Valkyrie, with an MPX which has absolutely 0 recoil, and a nitro cell you can pretty much guarantee you'll get a free kill with every round if you're a smart Valkyrie player. Just the pure amount of information she can bring that makes Valkyrie so good is why she's so good, and if you can hide yourself in the prep phase, which makes it to where they won't bring an IQ, her value increases exponentially. Definitely one of the best defenders, especially in solo queue in the game if you're able to communicate to your team or Z-ping, which is why I think she's necessary for year 10 of Siege. Now before I end the video, I want to go over some honorable mentions that you might have wanted to see on this list but didn't quite make the cut, but I still think are good if you want to play them as well. The first of which being Ashe. I do like Ashe. I think she's a good entry fragger. She's a 3-speed with an R4C, and you have soft destruction. I don't think she's going to be as useful as somebody like Ace, Striker, Ying, Dokkaebi, Blackbeard, or Deimos, but if you're kind of out of options and you want to frag out, Ashe is a good pick. Next up is Doc in the honorable mention slot for the exact same thing. Just a good fragger. You have information with barbed wire and heals for your teammates as well with an ACOG on defense. Definitely pretty good. Not as useful as the other defenders that I've talked about, but again, if you want to frag out, this is the operator to go. Now for the final attacking honorable mention, I want to go over Maverick. Some people might think that Maverick is completely necessary to have because Maverick is able to Maverick trick walls and pretty much counter anything that he wants to, but I'd argue that Striker can do the exact same thing with EMPs and hard breaches. The only thing that Striker can't counter is a good Cade Tuberau combo, so if you're going against that, Maverick really is the only counter, and I recommend that you pick him up as well. And for the final operator I'll talk about in this video, I'm going to go over Clash. I do think Clash situationally is actually an operator you need to be playing now, purely because of the fact that she is a great counter to shields, and if you're playing against a good team, they're going to have shields, whether it be Blackbeard, Monty, or Blitz, and Clash is the best counter in the game to shields right now because she can activate guard break with every single shock that she does to a shield, meaning they can't sprint, they can't vault, they can't shoot, hell, they can't even put away their shield. She just stun locks them, allowing your teammates to get a free kill for the majority of the time. But with that out of the way, that is it for today's video. My name's Alka, and I hope to see you in the next one.